we're talking about how to get a man and how to keep the man, and also how to get a woman.
Well, I think before you can keep the man and the woman, you must first get the man and the woman. So a lot of people are sitting with the problem, they don't even have the man and the woman. So can we first get you to get one, and then we get you to keep one.
And as always, weighing on the topic, be part of the conversation. It is 191 Ottery Road in Wynberg. We've got a live audience in the house, and we've got Nadia that wants to pose a question. All right, Nadia, let's hear it from you. Not really, but I am.
Are you looking or are you hooking?
She's hooking at the hookup lounge.
You have a hook to hook. I think the big problem for couples today is, or people that's looking to be in a relationship, is that there's a vacuum at the moment on how to find someone, or to meet people. It's very difficult at the moment.
And as always, smallacker course, great service, great vibes, and it's only at the hookup lounge.
See that the difference between then and now is kind of very simple. So a lot of people have done research on that, but the thing is, it's more got to do with lifestyle of today. So other than obviously women working, men working, and so on, we also got to look at how the roles have changed over the last few decades. So since the 90s, we've had a situation where the role of the male and the female has done a little bit of a swap. So that's caused a problem. And then psychologically, you must also remember, when a woman starts working and she's got to fend for herself and do all of these things, she loses a bit of her femininity and she becomes a bit masculine. So what happens is, in our mom's time or other times, the woman could stay in her feminine. So now, for some men who's not mentally strong enough or emotionally mature, they can't deal with a woman that's maybe masculine to some extent, or a woman that is basically doing her own thing. She's an entrepreneur. So you need quite a strong kind of gentleman. And then we also have the opposite of that, where the males have become a little bit feminine. So you look at your mommy's boys, spoiled boys, all of these, you're looking at young boys that became, entitled. And so these men are not men. So yes, they might have decent jobs for now, but they don't really have the culture of providing. You get a whole set of lazy men today. They don't provide, even though the average male species is basically driven to serve. Our love language, when we did a show on love languages, so even though we are driven by nature to serve, to provide a guy, you'll find that the average young male is not naturally driven to serve. He wants to be served.
Tonight's edition is sponsored by Quality Bake. They're out in Montview, in Lansdowne, and of course right across the road from Mr. Cheap. That's Indulin Crescent in Lansdowne.
Mr. Man.
So so thank you to Andre Cochran. Many thanks to you, and for making it possible. So on to the hot topic.
Yeah, I think if you look at internet dating today, and if you look at how so many people are single, it's like the gentleman was saying, that he's not looking. So whether it's a religious context or just how males operate at the moment, you'll find that people want partnership. I get so many calls where people want a partner, but we make a little joke in our industry about this. It's like you want somebody, but the person's gonna fly to you and through your window, and there you are. So how do you get somebody if you're at home every day, you're homely, you don't go out, you don't connect with people, those kind of things. So in our industry, we make a tiny joke about it, because people are very laid back about this. They want a partner, but they don't, in terms of our show that we did on compatibility, they also don't go out there and present themselves. So a lot of this, not just dating, but a lot of meeting people, is a lot got to do with your energy, the law of attraction, all of that. So you can go in a shop and everybody will ignore you. Then another guy goes into the shop and everybody looks at him. And it's the same with the woman. And so really, do you have an energy or a vibe where you project resistance, Are you easygoing? Without you realizing it, you kind of display that very openly. And so you're thinking because you don't talk, so what you project in your community and your personality, all of that counts either for or against you. So this is why a lot of people are single. And this is also why a lot of people choose the wrong partners, because they don't read. You know, you got to also have a fine art of reading other people, because you could be misled. Somebody could appear very flamboyant, fun, laid back, and then when you with the person, you find that it's somebody that's
Totally
quite
different,
intense,
yeah.
somebody that's difficult, because everybody's gonna put their best foot forward.
Yeah, we'll address that in a moment. Let's quickly take that break. Stay with us. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Back in a moment. And of course, Barky McCree just loves the food. Hongerwolf kan nooit wag nie. So on to the hot topic. If you've just joined the live, we're chatting about how do you actually get the man, and more importantly, how do you keep that man? En dieselfde vir die mans. How do you get that woman, Barky?
Jack said, how does people on dating sites end up getting married and some marriages last long?
Yeah, it's debatable, because if you Google it and you go on stat, it's only basically less than 5% of people that met online that actually made it.
Okay.
And these are the people that are normally, if you Google it, it's the people that's pragmatic. What I mean by that is, it's people that can get together through the context of logic, and they have plans and they're very pragmatic. So these are the couples that make it. But people that are romantic and who romanticize the relationships, it's very difficult for those kind of people to make it online. So you can be on Tinder, all these things, it doesn't normally work, because you have a preconceived idea and a fantasy of what type of guy or person you want. But for people like who's very pragmatic, you have a tendency to work things through. You know, we plan, we this. So those kind of people can still make it. It's a bit unromantic. I know people might not like what I say, but as unromantic as it is, it works. And so that's the same question we had weeks ago with regards to planned marriages. When I say planned marriages, it's like when it's organized already, that you meeting, and those are also the ones who work, are the ones that are pragmatic couples. The people come from a background that they plan, they structured, they now do. So there's not an over romanticized idea about how much the guy be and blah blah blah. So then it works.
Okay, Skatabola, as always, we've got prizes up for grabs to the ones with the most valuable contribution. This sponsored by AR Wholesalers. That's the corner of Claude and David Street, Athlone Industrial 1. And these beautiful scarves sponsored by Junior College. So we'll choose the winner in a moment. Let's move on.
Jack
Question.
says, know his love language and always communicate with each other. I feel that's key.
Yeah, of course, and obviously that's to keep the guy. I mean, if you dissect the two issues here, is how to get the guy or the woman versus how. So when you got the person already, it's advisable to do these love languages like affection, care, respect, blah blah blah. Then you're keeping the person.
But
to
also-
get the person is predominantly the problem.
But also, very importantly, ladies, if you want to keep your man, I think, Nadia, it's very important. You've got to look good. You know,
Some
you've
think
got to really take care of yourself. And
What
this
the
is-
hell?
Moet
Don't-
nie so moet nie
Do
soos 'n
not
skroplap
wanna
lyk
look
nie.
good. It's not a good idea.
Obviously, you have
No,
to.
you know,
Unless-
we're joking about it, but in all honesty,
What?
And maybe Anonymous over there can weigh in as well. After a little while, after maybe 5 years, or when they're really comfortable with a partner,
I think
they
it's
tend
like.
to turn into the scrub.
No, I
and,
think with
and,
people,
you know,
it's about sealing the deal. I think once you've sealed the deal and the contract signed, I mean, I'm being cynical, then you tend
Aren't you
to
always
be
cynical?
more relaxed. You know, then you can be
Yeah.
authentically yourself. But I think the idea is, I'll advise people to be authentically themselves from the start.
It's
Because
not
then,
about that.
then you're
It's-
attracting somebody who's choosing you for who you are.
Let's keep the debate rolling, viewers. I disagree. It's not about being authentic. It's really this different. It's about taking very good care of yourself. There's a groot verskil. Keep the debate rolling. Weigh in on the topic. Be part of the conversation live from the Hookup Lounge. Let's move on.
She also
Okay,
says that
Jack.
law of attraction first to get him. Salama Abbas also joined. She says never belittle a woman's desires. And Toyi
Hey, Salama.
is liking your view.
Let's look at it from not just our point of view. If you ask her, and apparently when you interviewed her, she was single. So you can ask somebody why
She
they're
is single, not
no,
was.
no,
She is
but
single.
you can ask her, why are you single? The gentleman who asked the question said he's been single for 2 years. So there's a reason why people are single. So even if he says he's not looking, that's fine. So then hopefully the right choice can come to the person. But in her case, she doesn't want to be single. So the question is, what are you doing that's creating that vacuum that keeps you single and not for somebody to see you as an option or a candidate?
Yeah.
So I think you need to probe that. And seeing that you have her here, you can ask her, what do you think is the factors that you think is still keeping you single? Or would you agree with the gentleman earlier on when he said you're waiting? Because I don't think you're waiting. It's the opposite.
Okay, we'll get into answer in a moment. Let's move on.
Jack says, I also feel it varies on what law of person one is, because some men don't care. I believe in always looking good to feel good. So yes,
Totally
Adya,
agree, Jack.
a
Totally
woman
agree.
has
But I also wanted to be a sympathy.
self look good.
Yep, 100%.
Toir Sally says, Yana these two lighting fires all around Cape Town tonight.
Hey, Tahir, and welcome to the show. All right, let's quickly move on.
Jack says, especially if you don't want him to look outside. Salama
Yep.
also says, a
Agree.
woman must be unpredictable.
Oh, keep the mystery rolling, Salama. I totally agree. Totally. Total and all. You must never know what you're up to. You must never know what to expect. Be unpredictable.
Yeah, I
Serious,
think
I
it's,
love
I
that.
think it's got to come in balanced way. I think if you're too mysterious, it can be, off-putting at the set. It depends on the stage you are in your life. When you get to a certain stage in your life, and I'm talking about ages, then you don't want too much unpredictability, because what you want is you at the stage where you want, you get to a stage when
Comfort zone?
when somebody can fool around, and you get to a stage where people want you to be straightforward in life, be honest, sincere, straightforward. So I think it differs in stages.
Well, I have a different question. I think there's people that are in long relationships. Right? Let's say people have dated for 5-6 years, right? They've dated for so long, and then abruptly the relationship ends, right? So, do you think it's more advisable to, get married sooner in the relationship to build that
So I like this.
relationship, or
It's a
because
very
sometimes
good
people
question.
are, like they're together so long and then they break up, and then you will hear one of them got married with the next person that they met after 6 months, but you
Yeah.
dated for 8 years.
So I'll tell you why that
Good
is.
question.
So I'm surmising based on my data only, but I can't prove everything. But I'll tell you why it's such a brilliant question that you asked. It's because in relationships we advise couples when they date too long, it means they're already unsure. People that's sure, you don't need that long to know this is the one. We don't want to go his route either, where you just meet somebody on TikTok or whatever and you think it's the one. What you're suggesting here is happening universally worldwide. You're dragging out an extension of something that you feel, that you know subconsciously this is not the one. And so you're really playing for time to see if it can develop to become the one, to only find out 6-7 years later it's not the one. So if you need so much time to figure out it's the one, it means it wasn't really gonna work in any way. And that's why the minute these people leave, they get more courage with the second one. So everybody assumes it's a rebound love. But they would have more courage, for instance, to be with a second person that they suddenly find more compatible and then they have the guts to be in a relationship and marry the person. And then the person who's been with you for 7 years is shocked. But you've been with a person for 6 to 5 years, but you didn't have that connection that this person is having with that person. So it's all about connections. It's all about energy connections and that. So yes, some people try too hard to make stuff work. And in relationships, in my opinion, so it's subjective, if you work too hard to make something work, it's not gonna work. A true relationship and passionate love, or whatever you want to call it, is not such hard work. And so people, the pragmatic people who listens to the show, they will disagree with me because they've been listening to too many videos and stuff where it says life is hard, marriage is work, relationships is work. It was never meant to be such hard work, which means you're forcing something to work that's not entirely working naturally.
If there's one thing I do want to touch on, guys, is, you know, okay, we'll get to that in a moment. Let's move on to the next viewer. Hello.
It's not touching anything.
Jack says a person always wants what they can't have, so yes, being unpredictable is something good. Then Dreamer says, won't he
Hey, Dreamer.
think you're cheating if you're too mysterious?
Okay.
And then Salama says, I'm talking about it in the bedroom party. Boredom leads to roving.
Of course, it's the same what Dreamer
I
is
agree.
saying, very similar to what she's saying. It doesn't necessarily just about the cheating. It's got to do with not just the boredom, what Mo is saying. The thing is, if you're too mysterious, when you're mysterious, it is an attraction. But you can't be too mysterious, because then what it does is, the thing is, it's an attraction because you don't know. So by nature, people need to know. It's very similar like an aphrodisiac, where people want attention. So women like you guys, who doesn't want attention? So one of the major things that a woman needs to feed herself is attention. So males know that. Males know if you're going to have half a chance, just keep giving him attention. Sometimes it's even negative attention. They don't really care. Women just want attention. But the thing is similar with mystery. If you have too much mystery, then what happens is it can create a subliminal insecurity. Because now I don't know. So it's nice to not know everything, but if it gets too intense, then the mystery can actually be a deal breaker for the relationship to work. Because again, it's got to do with stages. If you're older and wiser, you don't want too much mystery. Because what happens is you're at a stage in your life where you want honesty, sincerity, let's be real, let's be upfront, let's be frank. So it's got to do with stages. But if you're in your 30s, you're going to run with your mystery and you're still into that stuff. But I think once you get to your 40s up, you need to get to an emotional maturity level where that kind of mystery becomes a bit childish. It's just my viewpoint.
But also, you know, sometimes when you become too settled, too much in that comfort zone, you can get bored out of your skull.
I do agree with you, and this is why a lot of women actually leave men. Because you
want constant stimulation.
No, let me tell you what happens to the average guy, and maybe the guys are not gonna like what I'm about to say. So when you're a dude, you do the chase. I mean, you can walk from one place to another place to give that girl a flower. You will do as many things as possible because you're in that stage. It's like an
He's
adrenaline
talking about
rush.
personal experience.
No. All guys, most of us do this. We'll text at 3 in the morning. We'll do what we ever have to. I mean, your adrenaline, you don't have any of these issues about sleeping late. But you see, once you settle, you know, it's like you've caught the fish. And then what happens is you go to in a state as a male in a relaxed mode. And I'm not saying you become a couch potato, but it's like, I don't need to chase that hard anymore. The chase is over.
And no longer
I've
need
got
to
the girl.
impress.
So now what you do is you get into a relaxed, comfortable state.
Yeah.
And so the very thing that the woman needed to stimulate her all the time, suddenly you're not doing it anymore. You're too comfortable, too relaxed. Even in your clothing. The guy used to dress up every night, and even though it was problematic, he doesn't mind doing it because he wants you. Then suddenly the guy can walk around in the shorts, wear a t-shirt, and there's nothing wrong with it because he got you. Then you start looking at him and thinking, I don't like this relaxed state this guy's in. So again, must I tell you why all these things are happening psychologically, and it's sad actually, is that again you met each other for the wrong reasons. It wasn't about the clothing, it wasn't about the chase. You were supposed to pick the guy that's compatible with you irrespective of that stuff. So then you're gonna need it to end off. Let me give a perfect example. If you take me because I have a sense of humor, so you're gonna tell your whole family, you know what, I like Barky because he's got a great sense of humor. Now imagine the day I stop making jokes. Are you gonna leave me? So you see my point. Now I've evolved from the jokes, and now suddenly it was our only attraction level. So this is the problem. You must be careful why you choose each other.
Yeah. Let's hear it from anonymous number 3. Your question.
Okay, based on what Barky said, you know, in the beginning you get the honeymoon stage, and then as it goes on the relationship, everything you do becomes a norm, and then like you were saying, the boredom comes in, and yeah. So how do you overcome that, or what is that?
Good question.
Someone asked a similar question in the comments.
So it's not that the boredom sets in. There was going to be no boredom if the individuals chose each other not for what you think they were supposed to sustain. So the fact that you have an expectation that the person must sustain it, like I was explaining to you the jokes or whatever, it means you took me more for my jokes than my character, my personality, which is sustainable. My personality remains sustainable. My character remains sustainable. But me making jokes to you will come to an end. Me having a six-pack will come to an end. Me having a great body will come to an end. So it's for what you choose the person for. So there will be no boredom because I can sustain the stuff that's sustainable.
Toy says, be a player for life. And then
Ooh.
Jack says, okay, but how do you maintain a guy chasing you after you caught the fish? Which was a similar question to what anonymous number 3 already asked.
Yeah, so
And
here's
it's a
the
good
thing.
question.
If he catches the fish and you are a woman of value and he knows what he's got, he's going to keep chasing you. It's very linked to insecurity. So you don't need to play games to keep him stimulated to keep chasing you. So it is the point, the problem lies when you lose your value. So people stop chasing and doing what they're supposed to do when one party gets to a point where they lose their value. So never lose your value in a partner. Always understand what you have. The gold, this is like, they like to say this is like gold, this is my one and only. But then sustain that value that you have for that person.
All right. Let's hear it from the next one.
Toy Sally says, a woman wants a man that other woman wants.
Let's get some of the other females to
Talking
weigh
about
in
the-
on
yeah.
that one. Do you agree, Anonymous?
I think he's talking about the younger generation, not the older generation.
What do you think, Nadia? No comment.
I think that's true.
All right, ladies. Do you agree with Ty Sally? Let us know.
I think from my point of view, psychologically, it's not that you want somebody. It's the idea. You see, women are drawn by nature, like I said. One of the main things that a woman needs to be stimulated by is attention. And so you need to understand another thing that makes a male successful, like the gentleman was saying. Sometimes you have to do nothing and just appear successful. And so women are drawn to success. Women are drawn to men that's in their masculinity, that knows what they want and that has already achieved things. So they love being drawn to that. So the thing is, the fact that women are already drawn to this guy, others women are now also drawn to the same guy. So it's not that the guy's got something special. It's got to do with the fact that women cannot resonate or gravitate towards a guy who doesn't have that masculinity. So it appears like women want to be with a man that all women want, but they don't even know the guy. And that's a lack of maturity. But you can't change nature, but it's just the way it is. But if you get to know the guy's character, you might find out they're chasing him for the wrong reason. So it doesn't work that way.
Ooh, one of my clients, Rabia Pack, messaged me. They've got 2 vouchers up for grabs to the value of 150 Rand each. One of which I'm going to give to Michelle, who last week sent all those roses. And guys, we need to decide in a moment. Hulle is so besig om te eet, hulle vergeet om hulle te sit te wat hier. So this is what happens when you at the hookup love.
I'm surprised
Keep that
that a
vague.
lot of people are not more interested to know, other than what the gentleman was saying earlier on, that they're not making a huge thing about why they're not finding people. We have a pandemic of single people at the moment in Cape Town and in
Yeah.
the world, which is scary. And then we have a pandemic of single moms and all of this, and nobody's finding partners. And so I find it strange that a lot of people are not pouncing on that idea as to why there are so many people single, you know. And that is what we should look at as well, maybe even on Thursday when we continue with the show, is that we should probe that, because people don't want to understand what they're doing that's leading up to so many singlehood in society.
Let's hear it from the next one.
Salama says, express thanks and acknowledge things done.
Yeah, of
Gratitude.
course, gratitude. We want to show gratitude to
Another
our
topic
partners,
on its own.
you know, and so on. I think, in my opinion, without even getting the question, is that a lot of people are not making a huge effort to change within themselves, to be more, you know, open to the idea. And I think a lot of people are wounded based on their past experiences, and most people now have these walls in front of them that's creating the problem. So there's these walls, and now nobody else can break through to actually get to know them. And so I think actually a lot of people, like he was saying earlier on, a lot of people are just stopped looking. And you want to be with somebody, but you also
Again,
don't want to
anonymous,
be.
perhaps you want to answer that, but I think it's
No.
the fear factor. Am I right? Do you want to answer that?
No, you need to look as a woman like,
Good.
like good, you know,
Yes.
nicely dressed.
Yep.
But it is that people that looks good, you know, and looks beautifully dressed, you know. It is those type of people that is having
That is heavy.
that is now having problems.
Okay.
You
In
know?
which department?
In which department?
Maybe being single, I think it
you
means
know,
they're still single.
yeah,
whatever.
you know.
I get what you
No,
say.
but then again, I think, you know, like you said, sometimes it's because of the past. Sometimes
You build up walls and you become fearful,
so
resistant.
women are scared.
You're scared, yeah.
because, you know,
Yeah.
And it's
We've got a live audience tonight. So on Thursday, we will continue. Come and join us. Come and connect. Come and have your cappuccino, your strawberry milkshake, your pizza. And we'll read the menu out in a moment. But it's absolutely delicious. Let's hear it from the next one.
So Jack says, too much people have expectations, and expectations leads to disappointments, and disappointments
true.
also put fear in one.
Yeah.
Guards you, but when you open up your heart and let things flow, it's just beautiful. Everyone is imperfectly perfect. And then Toy Sadi says the uncle is right.
The uncle is right. What about the aunt?
yeah. So I just to get back to Jack, I'm not saying I disagree with Jack. I'm saying it's not logical to not have expectations. But I think I would change the word not expectation. I would say it is not ideal to not have standards. I think every human being has set a subliminal standard in his head.
Do you know what,
As to-
Baki? Talk about standards. You know, sometimes I find in my circle, because 90%, 99.9% of my pals are all single.
Still,
But still, yeah. But that's exactly why. The standards, anonymous, it's just so high, you know. So I always joke and I say, girls, you know, get a move on. But that's exactly it, viewers. Sometimes the standards are just a tad bit too high. Let's move on.
Salama says women are liberated today and men feel intimidated by that.
That is true.
Jack
That is
says-
true.
True, I can agree to within that limits.
yeah. You see anybody in life who don't have standards. when you ordered food here earlier on whatever, you had a standard in your head.
Yes.
I'm not eating that. I'm not eating that.
Yeah.
So in life we must have standards. You have a subconscious idea. It's not just expectations of what I would like. So if the uncle says, for instance, or another guy says, for instance, I like a subservient woman, or I like a woman that will respect me, or I like this, that's his standards.
Yeah.
It's not just expectations. So do you surrender your basic standards of what you require from a person that's going to spend her life with you and be in partnership with you? So it makes total sense. You don't give up your standards. However, if you talk about your friends per se and people like that, it's not just their standards, it's the expectation attached to somebody got to meet that standards all the time. And so that's where it becomes difficult.
So before we move on to the next viewer, let's quickly move in on anonymous number 2 in the house. Young man, your question.
Do you feel that sometimes women's expectations are unrealistic toward the man? Because, let's just say, for example, if we had to wash off their makeup, and they are not at the same standard at which they want to judge the man that is walking around with aqueous cream on his face. Understand? You can doll yourself up and look like a tree and wash your face off, and then what? But you have this expectation.
I think what you're saying. I think what you're saying in a nutshell is that you got to. You know, I always say in my support groups that I understand where he's coming from, because this is how it works. I always tell people in counseling, do not expect your partner to provide an expectation that you cannot meet them. So say for instance, whatever you want, you must be able to be that person. So if you want kindness, hopefully you got to be kind. If you want respect, then you got to also be somebody who can give respect.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it means, man. I think in a nutshell, you are not giving your partner the exact same things that you require from them.
Jack says, but what people do is they move on with past trauma into something new, which causes chaos. Okay, but now, can you not also compromise and work on certain things together? And then Tahir says, dangerous territory, haha.
So in a nutshell, I would say to Jack, we are all subjected to the concept of change. So she's right, but are you able to change? So yes, you can have your hole, you can have your trauma triggers, you can be wounded, but there's nothing wrong with you being able to change. So when you said you were afraid, you can change. But also if you meet the right person, it makes that job easier for you to change. No, I'm saying if you meet the right person, it's amazing what the right person can draw out of you to change. And suddenly it becomes easier for you to be more vulnerable, more this, more that. But you got to bring your part 50% to be willing to change. And so that's half of the problem.
All right, so Dreamer, this one, darling, goes out to you. Our producers decided that this is yours, Dreamer.
Wow.
Up for grabs. It can be collected at the Hookup Lounge. Jack, yours can be collected here too. It's 191 Ottery Road in Wynberg. This one goes out to Nadia. That's yours, honey. And the third one you said is for Salama. All right, Salama, that's yours, honey. And that's our winners for tonight. Remember, tonight's show was sponsored by Quality Bake. They're out in Mount View, in Lansdowne, and right across the road from Mr. Cheap. That's Indolent Crescent, Lansdowne. And so many thanks to Andre Cochran. Thank you so much for your valuable contribution. And yep, we're gonna squeeze it in. Let's hear it.
Tahir says the connection is a bit glitchy my side, always very enlightening to hear you guys. Gonna join you guys soon. Enjoy the rest of the show, everyone. And we only have 3 minutes left of the live.
Alright, kicking off with some vital tips, Barky. Let's hear it from the expert. And remember, if you want to connect with Barky, if you want a counseling session, 082 346 5974. If you want to keep your brand alive, if you're interested in advertising, connect with me on 081 789 1094. All right.
Yeah, I think just to end off, I want to say, because we're going to continue with the same topic on Thursday at 8. I just want to say that a lot of people are single today or are looking for a partner and are tired of being alone, or when they say, I'm not alone, I just feel alone, I'm not lonely. At the end of the day, it comes down to almost the same thing, and it's the fact that you would like to be with somebody. Then I think it's important that you open the door to you becoming that, person that you would want others to be attracted to. So I think there's too much focus on you looking for somebody, and you have your expectation, or let's say, what you would like, and then you're forgetting about your part in it as to what you're supposed to be. And so with my clients, I always say, first be what you need to be, and then you'll be amazed how attractive you appear to others. So for instance, if you don't have a sense of humor, I'm not suggesting you should get a sense of humor, be authentically yourself. If you're a quiet person, a book reader, still be yourself, but still project to others what you would like. So if you go into a shop, whatever, be attractive internally and externally, so that anybody that's in your company feels drawn to you, feels comfortable enough to say hello to you, and so on. So I think make more effort to focus on yourself, and to not your shortcomings per se, but more who you can be, the best version of yourself, than to focus so much, and then you focus too little on what you could be, to become the best version of yourself. That's just what I think.